So we got confirmation Trump is running in 2028.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan.
Not going to say I told you so, but he's going to be president again, you guys. Steve Bannon was on The Economist with Zanny Mitten-Beddoes, where she was questioning him about how they were going to possibly make him president for a third term with the 22nd Amendment. He says that they are going to go in and really see what the 22nd Amendment means, because with the amazing turnout to elect President Trump, that's basically what the American people want. They just want him to be president forever, and that's why they voted for him.
He say what? He say what? Y'all, that man stood there and confidently say DJT is gonna be running for a third time. Where? In which country? In which economy? Is this a dictatorship?
Steve Bannon has made it very clear that the American people need him to run. He has shit that he has to complete. And my thing is the Esther Project and Project 2025 are nearly complete. And it's not even been a full year of this man being in office. Plus, this man is about to pay himself $230 million. You got $230 million, but people don't have food to eat come November 1st. On top of that, he said, oh, we're not going to go to war with Venezuela. We're just going to take their asses out. Like, what? We got fucking tainted ass meat coming from Argentina. Yes, the meat ain't gonna be good, y'all. Don't eat that fucking beef. Y'all better go vegetarian. Anti-vaxxers in Idaho have won their case. Children are now able to go to school without getting any vaccinations. And they're trying to make this shit spread around the United States. I'ma tell you what, y'all better keep y'all children vaccinated if you know what's good for you, because those kids are gonna die out real quickly. Kristi Noem got 2 jets. I'm pretty sure that cost could cover Medicaid and SNAP benefits. God, I feel like you ignoring the fuck out of us at this point.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term. Right, and he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all.
Trump that's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started. He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28. He's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine.
Christian nationalism is quite literally a disease that is strangling the United States. And people who actually go along with this thing, like Trump is a divine instrument, those people scare me. And I mean that. They actually scare me. There's a couple reasons they scare me so much. Number one, it echoes human history. If you have literally ever picked up a history book or taken any kind of class involving history, you know why this is so horrifying and so dangerous and why you should be scared of it. There's been many a times where a leader is described as divinely chosen, and then they make things like oppression and violence holy. Secondly is basically the same, but nothing is scarier than when faith and authoritarianism combined. Because when you believe someone has divine authority, they can do anything and they can do no wrong, or the wrongs they do aren't a big deal. And you already have Trump's faith leader in the White House saying that if you say no to Trump, it's the same as saying no to God. I want that to sink in with how horrifying those words really are and what they can justify when saying things like this.
You know, they used to laugh when people said Trump would try to stay in power indefinitely. Now, Steve Bannon is literally saying there's a plan for Trump to serve a third term, despite the Constitution clearly forbidding it, okay? But who cares about the Constitution, right? And here's the thing. This isn't about law anymore. It's about conditioning. Say it enough times. Third term, divine mission, the people want it, okay? And suddenly, the impossible starts to sound inevitable, okay? This is how authoritarian psychology works. And I've made a post about it before, about overtone window. They test the boundaries. They normalize the breach. They don't need to rewrite the Constitution. No. They don't need to do it right away. They just need enough people to stop caring that it exists. Okay? Because once you convince the public that laws are flexible, democracy becomes very optional, okay? So yeah, maybe it's just talk. But when the people who already tried to overturn an election start floating plans for a third term, that's not politics. That's conditioning for something else.
So, about 2 weeks ago, I posted this.
3.25 more years of this. Actually, we're gonna get Trump on the ballot for 2028. Yeah, but you can't. Oh, we're gonna find a way.
And now today, Steve Bannon said this.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives.
My videos are supposed to be ridiculous satirical comedy, not accurate predictions of the future.
At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is.
Called it like 2 weeks after the last election. It's worth repeating that he knew what was going to happen on January 6th before January 6th happened because he said so on his podcast. He knows what they're doing because he is a close advisor to Orange Twitler. I don't know what much more it's going to take for the United States to wake up. Everyone should start studying how Orban and Putin stay in power, how they stayed in power, how they consolidated power, how they changed the laws, how they padded the judiciary, how they made their, congresses or parliaments capitulate. Read Autocracy Inc., read The Road to Unfreedom, and then really start educating yourself on what could actually happen in the United States. And then start asking yourself, can I live in a country like that? And if you really, really cannot live in some weird version of Russia, then you have a lot of choices to make. He's not building a giant ballroom where the east wing of the White House used to be for nothing. That ballroom is going to be almost double the size of the whole White House itself. He's building a palace. He's not leaving. Whether through force or through gerrymandering or through simply people being too stupid to not vote for him again, which, I will... Americans have already proven to me that they're stupid enough to go back to this man, so I don't think people take Steve Bannon seriously enough. They didn't take him seriously enough in 2016 and before, and they certainly didn't take him seriously enough before January 6th.
The Trump organization is selling hats that say Trump 2028.
Yeah.
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr.
No,
President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
The Constitution does prohibit it. Some of your allies are pretty serious about this, though, Mr. President. I've spoken to them. They say they are coming up with potential ways.
Well,
obviously, the biggest one would be a constitutional amendment.
That's because they like the job I'm doing, and it's a compliment.
Has anyone in an official capacity presented you with, sir, here are some ideas by which you could actually get a constitutional amendment?
In a capacity of being a big supporter, many people have said different things, but I'm not looking at that.
Well, Steve Bannon just said that the plan is to make Trump president in 2028. You know, just plainly said it. He said, yep, Trump is going to be president in 2028. Americans might as well just get that through their head. He said that Trump is a divine instrument of the conservative movement and that he must become president again. He will get a third term. When asked about the 22nd Amendment by the journalist from The Economist who is interviewing him, he said there are creative legal ways to, you know, try and figure our way out of that. We had longer odds of him becoming president in 2016. We had longer odds of him becoming president again in 2024. The odds are very good for us right now. And when the time allows it, we will lay out what the plan is, but just know he's going to be president again in 2028. He will have a third term. Okay, so let's just sit with that for 5 seconds. Are you cool with that? What are you going to do now that they're telling you that man is the beginning of a dynasty? He is not leaving that chair. They have just told you the plan. They have told you that the plan is to eliminate the idea entirely of a 2-term presidency. They have said it now. They have not shied away from it. They have told you that is the plan. What now?
Not going to say I told you so, but he's going to be president again, you guys. Steve Bannon was on The Economist with Zanny Mitten-Beddoes, where she was questioning him about how they were going to possibly make him president for a third term with the 22nd Amendment. He says that they are going to go in and really see what the 22nd Amendment means, because with the amazing turnout to elect President Trump, that's basically what the American people want. They just want him to be president forever, and that's why they voted for him. He also says that President Trump has to be president again to see everything that he has done be fully actualized and realized, which is pretty much the destruction of our entire government. But he also says that even though President Trump isn't really churchy or a religious man, that he is a fulfiller of prophecy and everything that's going on right now, whether you like it or not. And I'm so sorry if you still refuse to believe that this is what's happening, but you guys, the government is shut down with absolutely no plans to reopen, and they are just destroying everything line by line. It's happening, so get ready. God bless America.
So some Republicans are saying that Trump can run for a third term because the Constitution wasn't originally set up that way. But let me tell you what one of the founding fathers would have to say about that. Thomas Paine, the guy who literally helped start the American Revolution, said, "The vanity and presumption of governing beyond the grave is the most ridiculous and insolent of all tyrannies." Thomas Paine wrote that the dead cannot rule the living. Each generation has to decide its own government. So yeah, people like Steve Bannon are making the argument that the founding fathers didn't include presidential term limits. But you know who did? The generation of 1951. Our grandparents and great-grandparents. They lived through FDR's 4 terms and said never again. They passed the 22nd Amendment specifically to prevent what is being suggested happen now. And that was their choice to make. So when people say that the founders didn't want term limits, they are actually proving Thomas Paine's point backwards. What they are really suggesting is that a generation from 1787 should overrule a generation from 1951. And if we're going to say that amendments don't count because the founders didn't include them, why stop there? What about the First Amendment, free speech and freedom of religion? That was an amendment. What about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms? That's also an amendment. What about women's right to vote, the 19th Amendment? Should we just throw out all the amendments because the founding fathers didn't include them? Of course not. Because the whole point of amendments is for each generation to update the Constitution that works and fits for their time. And if this current generation really wanted to eliminate term limits, well, there's a way to do that. Go out there, get 2/3 of Congress and 38 states to ratify a new amendment to the Constitution. That's how it works. But trying to use loopholes and technicalities to ignore what a previous generation clearly decided, Thomas Paine would call that exactly what it is, trying to rule from beyond the grave. And that is tyranny.
That's why he's been threatening to bring up martial law? Wait, you guys. No. I need to calm down. I need to chill. Because there is no freaking way this man will be for real. In which United States?